Hello everyone, thanks for checking out my video. So this is going to be a quick and dirty tutorial on how to set up free software for capturing your game footage and streaming it or uploading it to YouTube. All right, and the beauty of this whole setup is that you'll be able to record separate audio tracks. All right, so if you're a YouTube content creator and you're not already doing something like this and you want to get into this, this is probably one of the most efficient and effective ways that I have found for isolating all of your audio so that you can later on in an editing program adjust it, mix it, and get it so it is just right. So many times I've done something like capturing a game where either the game audio was too loud or the Teamspeak was too quiet, or my voice was entirely buried in the mix, and it just didn't make for a quality video. So this approach will enable you to isolate all those audio tracks and then mix them properly in post. So let's get right on with it. The first thing you want to do is go to your favorite browser and download OBS. You can go to the obsproject.com. Now, of course, this tutorial is going to be for Windows. I'm sorry for the Mac and Linux users, but this is really specific to Windows. All right, get yourself a copy of the OBS Studio. All right, the next thing you got to do is download the Voicemeeter Banana software, and you would go to this page, and of course I'll put these links in the description so that you can quickly get at them, and click on the Banana tab here, go down to the bottom and download. I like to get the zip file, this way I can revisit it if I have to, if I don't have an internet connection or whatever. So download that. And then the last one to download will be Teamspeak 3 if you haven't already. So if you have yet to install this, get it now. I'm telling you, it's one of the best programs that you can use for your game chat. There are a lot of them out there. I know there's Mumble and Discord and I don't know what else, but this one really is, for me, the best because it's going to allow you the most amount of flexibility in terms of setting up the audio so that we can isolate it. All right, and more on that when we get to it. First thing you're going to want to install is the Voicemeeter. Okay, so after you downloaded that, install Voicemeeter. It will ask you to restart your computer, so you might want to bookmark this video so that when you come back, you can pick up where you left off. All right, so after you've restarted your computer, it's going to dump you right back off into the desktop. All right, and you're not going to see anything that, it's not going to say like, oh, Voicemeeter is here or was installed. You might, I'm not sure, you might have an icon here for the Voicemeeter. If so, you can just double click that. But chances are it's not Voicemeeter Banana. It may be Voicemeeter, just the basic mixer. That's not what you want. So don't even mess with that. Just go straight here and type in voice in your search bar, all right, and pull up Voicemeeter Banana. Okay, that's the one you want. All right, that will give you this mixer here. Okay, and this thing is great because it gives you so many options, and it even gives you an MP3 player or a sound recorder. You can record yourself and play back. You can play files through here. It's really cool. All right, but before we get too involved in this, we have to make a couple of adjustments. All right, the first adjustment is to set Voicemeeter as our default audio device. All right, so what you would do is come down here to the little speaker here and right-click it, click on Playback Devices, go to the very bottom, and then find where we have Voicemeeter Input and Voicemeeter Auxiliary Input. You got to set Input to default device and Auxiliary Input to your default communications device. Okay, when that's done, click Apply. And then up here on your Recording tab, same thing. You have two new Voicemeeter Output, Voicemeeter Auxiliary Output. Set Output to default device and Auxiliary Output to default communications device. Click Apply, click OK. Now Voicemeeter is your default audio device, but you're still not going to hear any audio from it because we haven't set it up yet. So now we can go into our mixer and make a couple of adjustments. The first thing you're going to want to do, click on Menu and click on System Tray. All right, we want this to run at startup. Otherwise, you're going to have to type it in again and click on Voicemeeter Banana. This is automatic if you have the little checkbox. Another one you're going to want to do is hook your volume keys for level output A1. All right, If you have a keyboard that has volume buttons on it, or if you have a function key that allows you to increase the volume or decrease the volume, hooking them for output 1 allows you to adjust the volume right through your keyboard, just like you were doing before that. So that might not apply for everybody, but it's something that works for me, and I like it. All right, now let's talk about Voicemeeter. Okay, this software is fantastic. I think it really gets its starts with the VB cable, which is a virtual audio cable, and it basically allows you one virtual audio channel that you could hook up. So basically, you could isolate your microphone from your game audio, which was pretty cool. And that was the way that I think most people did it with the old style of OBS. But now that we have Studio and it gives you all these options for additional channels, it's really, really cool. Really powerful stuff. So the first thing to look at in Voicemeeter are our hardware outputs. So we have 3 of them, A1, 2, and 3 on the top right here. So you just click the arrow here and then add your device. So this is basically the hardware that you're going to be playing audio out of, either your speakers, your headset, if you have a mixing board connected, if you have an amplifier, that's what you're connecting here. All right. So A1 is my main audio device, which are basically my speakers. These are plugged right into the back of the motherboard. All right. So I just click on that for number 1. All right. And also my function keys, because I went with this option here to hook volume keys. When I use my keyboard, look, I am adjusting the volume here, okay? A1 down here, I'm just using my keyboard to adjust that volume, all right? It goes by about 3 decibel increments each time, which is perfectly fine. All right, so there's that. A2 I have set to my gaming headset. All right, and this way, if you look down below here, A1, A2, and A3, there's corresponding faders and channels on the bottom here for the hardware. So this is like the master output section here. So we have whatever's here, and then this is controlling the volume of it. And then we also can mute it. We have some EQ if we want to apply EQ. You can turn it mono. So these are some basic output sort of settings. Mostly what I use here is mute and volume. That's pretty much it for that hardware. The other 2 channels here, B1 and B2, are auxiliary channels. These pertain to the recording devices. So back to this little speaker here, we have our recording devices at the bottom. Voicemeeter output is B1, and then Voicemeeter auxiliary output is B2. All right, and the way this works is that we have the opportunity to send audio to these channels. You can send it through the mixing board here, all right? And there's 5 other channels that we got to deal with, all right? And every one of these channels, it's possible to send the audio from these channels to B1 and B2. All right, you can send all the audio to all the channels if you want, or just isolate them like I'm doing. It's up to you. It's really versatile. So here's the deal. With the desktop audio, we got to start here. Okay, this is our main audio. All right, so right in the center, we're going to deal with this first. All right, desktop audio. So we've already determined what these pertain to. This one over here, playback devices, pertains to our virtual input. So basically, these 2 are virtual input channels, and these 2 are virtual output channels. All right, they don't pertain to anything physical necessarily. What this channel does is it receives audio from a program. Could be media player, it could be VLC, it could be YouTube, it could be your game, or it could be the Windows sounds, right? It receives audio from there and then sends it. So let's close this down. The sends are these buttons here, A1, 2, 3, and then B1 and B2. You can choose to send it to any one of these hardware outputs, as well as these software outputs, the virtual outputs. All right. So for my setup, the desktop audio comes through this channel here, which is our default audio device. I have it sending to A1 and A2, meaning my speakers and my headset. I want to be able to hear the audio from the desktop on either of these devices. The only way I turn it off is by muting, you know. So if I'm not wearing my headset, I unmute this one. If I'm wearing my headset and I don't want it to backfeed, I mute the speakers. It's that simple. Now, I can send the desktop audio to the virtual channels too, just by clicking on these Bs here. So B1 and B2. If I wanted to send the desktop audio over to B1, I could do that. And then whatever audio was playing off of this channel would not only go to the two hardware outputs, it would also go to the virtual output. All right. But we're trying to isolate this one, so I'm not sending it to any of the virtual outputs. I'm using those virtual outputs for other things. Right? Right now, I'm using this virtual input, which is the second one. It's too bad they can't name this channel 1 and channel 2, because it would make a lot more sense. But the reality is that this is the main audio, basically, and this is the auxiliary audio. And so, for instance, if I wanted to isolate Teamspeak from the main audio, I would assign Teamspeak to play through my auxiliary audio input. Does that make sense? No? Let me show you. If you haven't installed Teamspeak yet, do that. Oh, train's coming. Okay, after you install Teamspeak, you go to Tools and Options, and you have, for playback, an option for playback device. Now notice here, we've got all these different playback devices, the same ones that are listed in this window down here. See? They're all here except for these HDMI things. They're not connected, but all the speakers are there, the Realtek, and, of course, the Voicemeeter stuff. All right, take a look. See? All the speakers. There's the input, the Voicemeeter input thing, and then there's the Voicemeeter output, or input, auxiliary input. We have the main channel, right? This could play through our desktop channel. Like, check it out. If I play this.
Testing your playback sound system.
Oh, I gotta apply it. Hold on. And play.
Testing your playback sound system.
There we go. See right here?
Testing your playback.
That's playing through our main audio right there.
Testing your playback sound system.
If I want to change that to my auxiliary audio just to isolate it, because right now, if I was playing a game, then Teamspeak would be coming through this channel too. I don't want that. I want it to come through its own channel. So let's switch this over to auxiliary. All right, hit apply. Testing sound.
Your playback sound system.
Look, now it's over here.
Testing your playback sound system.
Totally isolated. It's not coming through there.
Testing your
and I'll
playback sound system.
Just to show you, for instance, right? Let's look over here to
sound system.
This little thing. Ding.
Testing your playback sound system.
So we've got music playing here on the desktop.
Testing your playback.
We got Teamspeak playing over there. Totally isolated. It's great.
Testing your playback sound system.
Very simple. Let's stop that. Okay. Beautiful. Minimize these. All right. So where is it going? All right. If we've got Teamspeak playing over here, well, I've got it coming to my speakers and my headphones, but I also have it going over to B2, right? This virtual output channel. B2 is Voicemeeter auxiliary output. So we have output and auxiliary output. So this is going to be the way I record Teamspeak. I'm not going to record it through the input. I can't. The input is actually the channel that plays back the audio. So Teamspeak, all the people talking in it, come into this one, right? It gets played back through here and then is sent to the headphones, the main speakers, and to B2, this virtual output. All right. So that's pretty much how I can isolate the audio for recording Teamspeak. Now, what about my voice? All right, that's all. That's everybody else's voice. What about my voice? So my voice is coming through my microphone. Okay, I have two microphones. Right now I'm on the road on vacation, so I don't have my Snowball. But the input section here on the left, these hardware inputs allow for 3 different hardware inputs. First one of which I have set to my Snowball. And the second one is, so you just click on these. The second one I have set to my gaming headset. All right. And you'll notice that they have the same sends on here. I can send the mic to A1, 2, or 3. I can also send it to B1 or 2. All right. So the deal here is pretty simple. I mean, once you get your volume set just right, you just got to determine where I want this audio to go. And in my case, I want to send it to B1. Well, why? Well, B1's by itself. B1 is isolated. B1 is not going to have any audio on it except for my microphone, right? And then it's not going to interfere with B2 either. So whatever's coming in on Teamspeak is going out on B2. Whatever's coming in through the microphone is going out on B1. So I've isolated my voice, I've isolated the Teamspeak's audio, and I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's nothing more to explain. We're done. I mean, you could just go ahead and start playing with it. One last thing that you might consider is the recording device here. This is really fun. You can record your voice and then you can play it back. So it makes for some fun memes. Like if I were to record my voice like this and then just play it back, like, hey, hey. Like if I were to record my voice, there. Watch this. Hey, hey. Like, hey, hey. And then just hey, hey. Like, hey, hey. If I were to play it back, hey, hey. Like this, and then it's just, you know, it's just a blast. You could really mess with it. I don't think you can like speed it up or anything. Maybe no, I don't think you can mess with it like that. But you can definitely repeat stuff back. You can record anything that's coming into it, and you can also send to any channel. You can see here, I can send it to my speakers, to my headset. I can send it to the main outputs, the virtual outputs here. So the guys in Teamspeak will hear it, and then I can also record it using my microphone channels. So, you know, it's really cool. In fact, I probably would want to turn it off of one of these two channels if I'm recording both of these at the same time, because it will be doubly as loud. This way, it only records once, which is on the B2 channel. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Voicemeeter. I mean, we're all set here. One of the main reasons I like to use this, in addition to the isolation, is because I can EQ my voice. So this is probably one of the more helpful features of it, especially when you're using a headset that doesn't have the best mic. You can, like I do here, I add some lows to it. So that's really helpful. You can also mess around with modulation and make your voice sound kind of freaky. You can change your positioning. Another thing that I like is the noise gate that's here. So if you're in a noisy room that has fans going or an air conditioner or something, you can adjust the gate so that it reduces the amount of background noise, especially while you're not talking. If you're saying something, it's one thing. You can't really do anything about it. But if you're not saying anything and the microphone senses that, it will just cut it off. So if I increase this up to like 8, watch what happens. So you see it completely dropped out. So I don't have it set up to do that right now just because it's not that loud in this room. But in certain circumstances, you may want to adjust that. So all of that functionality, the EQ and the gate, is being passed through Voicemeeter into Teamspeak, which is great. So that's pretty much my Voicemeeter setup in a nutshell. All right. Teamspeak, on the other hand, I showed you the playback device, right? Voicemeeter auxiliary input. But you also have to set the capture device. Remember, that's set to B1. So if we go back over here, all right, my microphone is sending to B1, all right, which is also known as Voicemeeter output. All right, so when we go to capture device, right here, Voicemeter output. All right, I can also go auxiliary. If I did something like this, then basically it would be backfeeding. Whatever the guys in Teamspeak were saying would just come right back to them, because it'll be coming through on the same channel. We don't want that. We want Voicemeter output, which is B1, totally isolated. That's my voice alone, and that's that. So there's the quick and dirty on Teamspeak. Now it's done. Let's take a look at OBS. All right. This is a little bit more of a bear, but the main thing that you have to set up is a new profile just for isolating your audio. So first click on profile and new. I don't know, let's call this one monitor. Oh, we already got one. Let's call it desktop, because we'll just do a quick desktop capture. Then you go to file and settings. All right, You don't have to change anything here unless you want to switch your language. All right. If you're going to be a streamer, then get your stream key. If you don't know how to do that, you got to Google it. Pretty basic. Copy and paste your stream key here. Apply. All right. Go over to output. Change this to advanced. All right. And now we've got 3 tabs here. First tab, audio track. A couple different ways you can go about this. I've been thinking about it. I'm going to stick with the way I've been doing it. I'm going to use 4 audio tracks, and the way I'm going to do this is track 1 is going to have the desktop or the game sounds. Track 2 is going to be the microphone. Track 3 is going to be Teamspeak, and track 4 is going to be a mix down of all of the tracks. All right. Put your encoder, depending on what you like to do, depends on your whatever you have, what kind of graphics card or what kind of CPU you're using. But if you have the opportunity to use your graphics card to do this encoding, then use it, because otherwise the graphics card that part of the card might just be sitting there idle. So use that, put it to use. All right, there's that. Now for streaming, I think leaving it on main is fine and balance is fine. Depends on your processor again, but I'm going to change it from CBR to VBR. All right, and then maybe throw that to 7,000. So we got between 3,500 and 7,000 for our stream rate. Keyframes at 2. That should be fine. Hit apply. Go to recording. Now here we're going to change our folder to OBS and desktop and select folder. Good. All right. And then we want to change the file type to MP4 and then add 4 audio tracks. All right, you have to use MP4 or MKV. You can't use FLV. I don't know why anybody would use FLV anyway. You want to change your encoder to the video card as well, because otherwise it'll just use the settings from the stream, which is really low. You don't want that for quality videos. Change this to, actually you can leave that at balanced, but change main to high and change your constant back to VBR, but make it, I don't know, make it like 10,000. That should be pretty good. And then maybe peak at 12. All right, you can also leave your keyframe at 2. Click apply. That's all you need for your recording. Over here to audio, we're going to switch these 4 tracks to 320 because I want this to be the best quality it possibly can be. All right, let's name these tracks. These are the names that'll appear in programs like VLC that'll actually name your tracks. This will be mic, and this one's Teamspeak, and this one is the mix/all. Okay, click apply. That's all you got to do there. Done. Audio. All right, you want to make sure that your desktop audio device is the Voicemeeter input. Okay. Voicemeeter input, remember, is this channel here. That's where the game's going to play, any music, in-game chat, all that jazz, right there. You don't need the second audio device here. Don't worry about that. Mic auxiliary device, that is Voicemeeter output. My voice comes through B1. See? Here's the input. So microphone in, send B1. B1 is the output. That's outputting right here. Okay? Second device for microphone is Teamspeak. So we have auxiliary output for that. Once again, Voicemeeter. Teamspeak comes in on this channel, right? Is sent to B2 over here, which essentially is everybody else's microphone, which is output as Voicemeeter auxiliary output. So there it is. Bam. That's it. Click apply. You're done. Next, video. Keep your base resolution and your output scaled resolution the same. Set up your FPS. That should do it. Now, I know I have these 4:3 settings here. That's because I'm using a 4:3 monitor right now. But this should be just fine for 1080p. So click apply. You're good to go. Hotkeys, set these as you want. I always recommend using a start and stop hotkey. It's so helpful when you're in the middle of something. All right, and advanced. The only one you'll really have to mess with here is your process priority. So depending on what kind of machine you're running and the type of resources that you have available, if you have something with, a ton of threads, you can increase the process priority. This will just ensure that you get a little better quality videos. But I'm leaving it on normal because I want it to be somewhat balanced. I only have 4 cores and 4 threads, so I have to be careful depending on, because the capture can actually eat into the FPS or the gameplay. So that's it. Once you have gone through all of these, click on Apply, click OK. There we go. So now that's all set up. The only other thing left to do is adjust your capture and do the mixer settings. So to do a quick capture, you hit the plus sign here on the sources, and then click on Display Capture. All right, you can leave that. Click OK. Choose your display. You're going to want to leave Capture Cursor. That's good. Hit OK. And then, boom, there's your display capture. So now it's capturing your entire display. All right, and if you want to get rid of it, click the minus sign. OK, goes away. Keep in mind that there's an order to these things. So whatever's on top is what's going to show first. So for instance, if I put an image here, such as something like this image here, that's going to appear above everything because it's on top. See, it's over top of everything. But if I move it down underneath, now it's behind everything. So it's back there. You can't see it. Move it up. Nope, now I see it. Okay, so keep this in mind. This is how you do an overlay. So if you have an overlay image that's already got like certain nooks and crannies carved out, or it's got your logo, all that stuff, you want to put the image above the monitor. All right, pretty basic. Hit minus. Yes. Okay, kind of works like Photoshop. All right, and then the last part is adjusting the mixer settings. So here's the mixer icon. Click on the gear, all right, and just copy this. You have 3 tracks: desktop audio, mic auxiliary, and mic auxiliary 2. Now this really pertains, and let's go back to the settings just so that you can kind of put this in perspective. This really pertains to what we put here in the output audio section, all right? There is, oh no, it doesn't. I'm sorry. It pertains to the audio section here. Okay, notice there's only 3 devices here that we're capturing. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So it's this input, output, and auxiliary output. All right. So when we click on the mixer icon, we only have these 3 devices to work with. Well, you're going to say, well, Goose, where's the 4th one? Well, don't worry about that. It's there. You just don't see it. Here's the deal. Desktop audio is going to record on track 1 and 4. Ah. Now the 4th track appears. Here it is. It's these little check boxes here. I can invent a 5th and a 6th track, although I didn't actually label them. They won't record. Okay? I'll show you where that pertains to. All right, but desktop audio is going to record on 1, not 2 and 3. 2 and 3. 2 is I want that to just be my microphone. 3, I want that to be Teamspeak. So I'm not recording desktop on those 2. Otherwise, it'll bleed through on everything. That's not the point. Mic is on 2. Not 1, not 3. I have it on 4 because that's going to be a total mix down. All right, and then Teamspeak auxiliary 2 is only on 3. It's also on 4. 4 is going to have all 3. You see, it's got all of the audio on track 4, and that's all you got to do for the mixer settings. All right. So once again, with the labeling, back into your settings, over here on output audio, here are the labels. All right, track 1, 2, 3, and 4. So whenever I put a little checkbox on that little 4, it's going to send it to a track called mix/all. If I title track 5 and checkbox number 5, it'll also send that to this track, whatever you call that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. But see, we don't need all those tracks. I mean, I think it's getting a little crazy anyway, but you're going to love it. Tell you what, you're going to love it. So now that we've got our microphone set up, let's play back some audio on the desktop. So here's our desktop audio. See, it's playing. We can get sort of a mix going here. I think that's a little too loud. Let's back this off a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I think that's a little better. See, I want my voice to be a little louder here. See, I'm doing a little preliminary stuff. You're going to have to adjust your desktop audio for streams mostly because remember, you're sending your stream audio as a complete mix down. So you might even want to turn this down a little bit more. You can do it right here too. You can just do it like that. And it'll do it post. Like right now, you can't actually hear it live, but it's 10% quieter than it was. All right. So there's that. The other thing is the Teamspeak audio. So let's go ahead and make Teamspeak start talking to us.
Testing your playback sound system.
All right, so here we go. Teamspeak's added again.
Testing your playback sound system.
There we go. It's about the same as the desktop audio right now.
Sound system.
Actually, it's a little bit quieter. You can adjust that right here if you want this to be a little louder. Maybe make that 6.
Testing your playback sound system.
Yeah, it's about equal there. It's pretty good. And again, none of that's going to matter. When you are mixing down an actual video for YouTube, it's a different story. But if you're streaming, that's where it's going to matter. So just kind of get some basic levels set to where it's going to be decent for your stream, and you can just leave that. And just know that you'll be able to adjust everything later on in post when you're actually doing a proper mix and render for YouTube. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at recording that. That's what we need to do. Okay, so yeah, let's give all of this a test. We are ready to start recording. So go ahead and click Start Recording, and let's get some audio going just so that we can check our mix. There's our desktop audio, and here's
testing your playback sound
a little bit of Teamspeak.
Testing your playback sound system.
Yeah, so you can see we're going to check levels.
Testing
and
your playback
at this stage, the only reason to check these levels is for your stream track, because all 3 of these are being mixed down into one track right now, and that's the one track that'll be streamed. If you're not streaming, no worries. You can adjust all of the volumes in post. So let's go ahead and stop this and take a look at it.
Testing your playback sound system.
Okay, so now that that's stopped, let me open the file, which should be here. Okay, there it is. Now, you can try and play this in VLC, watch, but it's only going to play back the desktop audio. See, it's not even playing mine. See, it's just the music here. But you can change that. If you go up to audio, click on audio track, and then you can go here to mic. Yeah, so you can see we're going to check levels. And at this stage, the only reason to check these levels is all 3 of these are
playback sound system.
And here's the Teamspeak audio playing on its track.
Testing your playback sound system.
And here's the mix down. You can adjust all of the volumes in post. So let's go ahead and stop this and take a look at it. So there's that, but the better way to see this is in Vegas. So let me just go ahead and pull that in. Drop it in here. Yep. All right, so take a look. What we have are 5 tracks. Here's our video track. This is desktop audio. This is my voice. This is Teamspeak. And down at the bottom there is the mix down of all of it. So let's play this at the beginning. I'm going to mute the mix down. And in fact, I'll mute all of them so that you can hear what's happening. Okay, so there's that. And you can see I have this way down, but I can crank it. See, so if I find, oh, you know what, the game is a little too quiet. Oh, we'll just adjust the volume, make it a little louder. Nice. So that works out really well. Let's take a look here, add my voice to it. I'm going to start over again. There's our desktop audio, and here's a little bit of Teamspeak. Yep, got a little bit of echo on it so you can tell the difference. Yeah, so you can see we're going to check levels. And at this stage, the only reason to check these levels is for your stream.
Your playback sound system.
These are being mixed down into one track right now, and that's the one track that'll be streamed. If you're not streaming, no worries. Okay, so there's that. I'm just going to go ahead and mute those and unmute the mix down track here. Let's see how that sounds. We can check our mix. There's our desktop audio, and here's
testing your playback sound
a little bit of Teamspeak.
Testing your playback sound system.
Yeah, so you can see we're going to check levels.
Testing
and
your
at this stage,
system.
the only reason to check these levels is for your stream track. Because so that kind of shows you the mix down. So what we have, just a quick recap. Your mixer settings here. This is only going to show you the 3 devices that you've selected for recording. and then it's going to ask you what tracks you want to send that output to. So in the case of our desktop audio, we want to hear it on track 1, so it's isolated by itself on track 1, but I also want it on track 4, which is mixed with all the others. All right. Mic/aux is my main microphone, track 2, and track 4. So it's isolated by itself on 2, but it's also sending it to track 4, along with this desktop audio. All right. And then the last one is the Teamspeak, isolated on 3, but also combined with everything else on 4. Okay. And that 4 is the one that's being sent to Teamspeak. How do I know that? Because I told it though. Remember? Right here. It says streaming, and we chose audio track number 4. So that's how that works. And if you don't want to send your Teamspeak to track 4, for instance, then you just turn Teamspeak off right there. So now it's not going to track 4. It's only these two, my voice and the desktop audio. You know, because you might not want to have Teamspeak in there, you know, blabbing away. It might just be like a bunch of people talking about whatever. And if you're trying to do like a little bit more serious entertainment on Twitch, then, you know, just do you, and you can still talk to other people. And if you want to bring them back in, you can hit this later on. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Now we've got simple game capture with multiple audio tracks isolated so that you can adjust them accordingly later on in post, so that you can produce the best video possible for free using open source software and donationware. And I do want to emphasize donating, because this program is so powerful. So if you really like it, donate to VB Audio. They are doing some really incredible work. And by the same token, donate to Open Broadcaster. You've got a donate button here. This software has come such a long way. I remember when it was very basic, very simple, didn't work with a lot of things, but now it's really powerful, really, it's just a monster program. So I would highly recommend that. And that's pretty much it. So now you know what I know, and I hope it was helpful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you. So please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. God bless.